Okay, so let's start. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for giving us your time so we can obviously give you more informative information regarding our brands. My name is Ralph Derek Brown, and I'm the current security product manager for MiRO Distribution, basically taking care of UniView, which is our enterprise CCTV brand, Ring, which is our home security brand, and then obviously ZK Teco as well, which is your access control, entrance control, and time and attendance brand. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining. We really do appreciate it. I'm getting a few yeses from my side that everybody can hear me and see the screen and everything is good on my side. So I'm going to start on this side. And yeah, so let's get it going. So before we start, the agenda for today is I'm going to tell you a bit more about our company, just so you can know how many opportunities there are when dealing with us. We're much bigger than you think we are. We've got loads of different solutions, but we'll get into that in the next few minutes. And then also we're going to start off with UniView. I'm going to tell you a bit more about UniView as well as the UniView industries that we are currently covering. Then also we're going to delve in much deeper on the UniView product range that we currently have available. Then we're also going to look at the UniView software, the UniView smart features, as well as the new arrivals, meaning the new cameras and new smart features that UniView released. And then we're also going to look at Ultra H265. This is a very important feature. Please stay tuned for this one because it's really going to help your company save a lot of money, a lot of time and money when it comes to storage. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to look at two installation methods, the wireless versus the wired installation method, and then we're going to talk about our deal registration portal, which is a brand new thing that we launched this year. And this is once again to help you save money and obviously get more projects on your side. Okay, but we'll talk about that later within the presentation. And then lastly, we're going to look at why you should choose UniView to be your trusted surveillance partner. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to just quickly go into who we are as a company, who is MiRO Distribution. So we currently are a member of the Deco Group, and our motto is to empower you to connect communities. So a bit about us, we currently have 18 years of industry knowledge. And the reason why I'm telling you this is not to brag, but really just to tell you that we really know what we are doing. We know what product works. We know what brands works within the South African region, as well as the entire African region. And then we are also a member of the Deco Group, which is a very large group and there's about 30 companies within this group. So we really have the financial backing in order to support you with large projects and all that. We've got a BE level of 4. We sell to over 35 countries worldwide. We currently have 5 branches, one in Cape Town, Durban, Nelspruit. Our headquarters is in Samrand, Gauteng. And then we also got a distribution center in order to keep that stock levels even higher. Obviously to help you provide good stock for big projects as well as day-to-day sales. And then we also have a branch in Kenya, Nairobi. We've got over 170 staff working for us. And just an interesting fact, we've got over 2,500 items on our sales catalog. And that, as you can imagine, this number is growing because we've got innovative brands within our portfolio, within our brand portfolios, and within these brands, they've got new innovative products being released every week, every month, every year. So you're really dealing with a very sophisticated company as well as brands. And then also a nice, interesting fact about us, 95% of our orders are shipped that very same day because, once again, of that stock levels that I spoke about, we've got a lot of stock at all times. We've got the backing to keep on a lot of stock in order to help you secure a solution quick and fast. Okay, and then another interesting fact is every 12 seconds we ship one new product. And in 2020 we shipped over 640,000 plus products. Okay, so now that you know a bit more about our company, why should you choose us to be your trusted partner? So first of all, we help you make tailor-made solutions. So we've got a team of experts to help you create the perfect solution for that specific application that you're currently dealing with. From the planning of the initial project up until the, the picking of the perfect products and the after-sales services. So we really try and help you from the start up until the end. Then also a very interesting and important aspect about us is we've got a very diverse portfolio of different technologies and solutions. So we really can help you complete the entire project through us. We like to be known as the one-stop distribution shop, giving you from wireless products up until your last bracket that you're going to need for your application. So just to give you a quick example, we deal with Wi-Fi products, which is routers, Wi-Fi extenders, access points, and many more. Broadband products, which is your wireless radios to give you point-to-point and point-to-multipoint wireless solutions. We've got mobile products to keep you connected while you're on the move. We've got LTE products, LTE routers, and so on. We've got all the infrastructure that you would need, from masts up until the brackets to the cabling, up until the tools that is needed in order to fulfill entire solution. We also have a very big VoIP portfolio, voice over IP, which is basically your telephones. And then we also have a security portfolio, which we'll delve in a bit deeper. But within the security portfolio, we've got CCTV, home wireless security, and as well access control, entrance control, and time and attendance solutions. We've got a networking portfolio for switches, PoE switches, and many more. We've got a fiber portfolio, which is, as you can imagine, growing tremendously at the moment. We've got everything from the ONUs to the routers to the fiber switches, except for the fiber cable itself. And then we also have a wide range of IoT products as well. Okay, so now that you know the complete solution, in regards to support, our reputation and market edge is built around strong technical support and outstanding customer service. So when you're dealing with us, you're dealing with fully trained personnel, trained on the latest technologies and on the latest solutions in order to give you guys professional advice when planning a specific solution. Obviously, effective after-sales service, because that's what it's all about. We don't just give you a product, we try and give you a service as well. And then we give you the best products for your need. As I mentioned, we have the best brands within our brand portfolio. We're a big company, so we deal with only big brands. And then what is new is we now offer on-site assistance. So for more information on that, you can just email support@miro.co.za. Then in regards to legal compliance, we are a market leader within South Africa when it comes to type approvals in order to give you legal products to do business with. So this is a very big deal for us, and we only want to supply legal products to our clients. And then when it comes to financing, there is a hardware finance option in order to finance your hardware or pass it on to the end user, and you can do that via IPFin. And then there's also a run rate terms account for your month-to-month purchases, and we offer from 7 to 30 days. Then in regard to training, we actually have a brand new training platform, online training platform, obviously thanks to everything that has happened in the past couple of years, the past 2 years, due to the pandemic. We had to go online with everything, but with us, it wasn't a very big deal because we are a market leader within the online industry. So we now provide certified training and introductory level training courses on our online platform, as well as in class as well. And this is just obviously to help you enhance your knowledge and skills in order to make your solutions and your installations and knowledge up until a point where you actually tell us what to do. And then obviously, as I mentioned, there's a new training platform, so you can check it out on our website. It's called MiRO Academy. And on that, there is sales training videos. There's obviously certified training, as I mentioned, and then just loads of different webinars that you can watch again. With this webinar, if you miss something, you can obviously watch it on the MiRO Academy website as well. Okay, and that's that for our bit about us. If you want to follow us on any social media platforms, we've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, we've got Twitter, and obviously we've got an awesome YouTube page as well. So if there's loads of material that gets loaded on each week, every month as well. So you can go check that out. And if you want any training queries, you want any answers on that, you can just mail training@miro.co.za. Okay, so let's start for the UniView surveillance Enterprise Surveillance 101. So a bit about UniView. So the main headquarters is in Shenyang, China. UniView is actually a pioneer of IP video surveillance. Well, this is actually a very important aspect to remember and to consider when going into or choosing a surveillance brand, because they're actually one of the first IP manufacturers within China that did the IP route. So at that time, it was a big deal because analog, CCTV and analog was a very big deal, and that was obviously the high demand for analog at that time. So UniView took a big chance to go for IP, Internet Protocol cameras, basically meaning you can watch it from anywhere in the world. And the main difference between IP and analog is IP, you need two cables, a network and a power cable to power one camera, where IP cameras you only need one PoE cable containing power and Ethernet at the same time. So obviously, as you can imagine, installation is just so much better and so much quicker, and you save a lot of cost. But at that time, and let's call it 2003, analog was very big, so UniView took a major risk, and obviously they succeeded. They took that risk and made it something big, because as you all know by now, IP surveillance is the future. Everybody wants to, there's still analog systems, but everybody wants to move over to IP because of the new features, just the cost effectiveness that IP cameras are at the moment, and then obviously the ease of installation. And then UniView is the third largest video surveillance manufacturer in the global market. They're covering over 145 countries worldwide. They've got a nearly 100% annual growth rate in the overseas market. So they're really becoming quite a popular and big brand within the entire world. So they've got 13 years of IP video surveillance experience, so they really know what they're doing. And then obviously they've got 15% revenue invested into their R&D systems, so in order to give us perfect and very good and reliable UniView products. So their motto is building a safer world with providing professional, reliable, and cutting-edge products and services. Again, so just a quick one in regard to the UniView industries that we are currently covering. Is obviously there's many more that you can cover, but these are the industries that we relatively cover. Is the banks industry, airports, casinos and entertainment, neighborhoods, streets and highway solutions, agricultural solutions, homes, industrial sites, shopping malls and parking lots. Going forward, you're going to see a lot of cameras. If you're not in the surveillance industry as of yet, you're going to see a lot of cameras going forward. Everywhere, in malls, retail shops, everywhere. Enterprise buildings, retail environments, healthcare and education. Okay. And then in regards to the UniView product range, please, if there's any questions, please just pop it into the question box and I'll get to your question immediately. Okay, so in regards to the UniView product range, just a quick one on this one. We've got different IP cameras. So in the IP camera range, there is a lot of different IP cameras, but we'll get into that later on in this presentation. We've got network video recorders. So this is basically your brain of the operation. All the cameras is going to be connected back to the network video recorder. And that's basically where you manage everything. Your hard drives will be installed in the network video recorder, or as we know it as NVR. We've got video doorbells that is once again added onto your network video system. We'll get into that later on. We've got great VMS systems for major big CCTV projects. And then also we've got all the accessories that you would need in order to fulfill the entire surveillance solution. And then lastly, we've got all the PoE switches from a 4-port up until a 24-port PoE switch in order to complete your surveillance solution. Okay, so let's look at the entire series. So within the UniView series, there's an Easy, Prime, and Pro. So to remember very easily, within your Easy series, this is more your entry-level products, your more cost-effective cameras and NVRs. And these products normally have a warranty of a year, and they support mainly just entry-level motion detection features and all that. So it's not a very high-end solution. So if you have a bigger project, you would be more looking at the Prime series, which has a 2-year warranty, and obviously a bit more, a lot more smart features actually, and a lot more reliableness and storage and everything within the Prime series. And then lastly, you get your Pro series, which is your VMS systems, your Pro cameras, your enterprise level cameras and NVRs and VMS systems. Okay, so let's start with the Bullet series. So the Bullet IP cameras. So the Bullet cameras are suitable for outdoor applications. Okay, reason for this is they are IP67 rated, basically meaning water resistant and dust proof, and some of them have a lens of a IK10 rating. What that basically means is it's just a vandal resistant lens, that piece of glass. Okay. So first of all, you get your mini Bullet cameras. So the mini Bullet camera is also suited for outdoor applications. It's a very small camera, and the nice thing about this camera is it's very versatile. Basically meaning that if you have an application where you need 100 cameras and you need to install it quickly, this is the camera to go for. It's light, it's versatile, and super easy to install. Going forward, all these cameras are PoE powered, power over Ethernet. So one cable giving the camera power and Ethernet. Okay, so these cameras support a IR of up to 30 meters. So at night you can see up to 30 meters. And we actually got a new mini Bullet range called the Echo Sight range, which we will get into later, that supports an IR of 40 meters. But that's relatively how the camera looks like. All the mini Bullet cameras have that sort of look. Okay, then we have your normal standard size Bullet camera. This is a fixed lens Bullet camera. So the difference between a fixed and a varifocal lens, before we get into the varifocal Bullet camera. So a fixed lens is, for example, you have a 2.8 millimeter lens, and that gives you a, let's call it 70 degrees view of angle. And that's a fixed lens. You can't change it. With the varifocal lens, you get a motorized one. So you can actually remotely change your lens option. So you can take it, obviously, if it's 2.8 millimeters, it is a more focused view of angle. Then if you've got a varifocal, you can change it to, let's say, 12 millimeters, which gives you a more focused view of angle. A 2.8 is a wide view of angle. So the lower the number, the wider the view of angle. Okay. So these standardized Bullet cameras support IR of up to 50 meters, and once again, they're perfect for outdoor applications. And then once again, here is the varifocal motorized Bullet cameras. They relatively look the same, but it's just the lens can be changed remotely, the view of angle. And that is a very important factor, because an aspect to consider when doing a surveillance application is, do you want to change the view of angle? At sometimes you need a wide and sometimes you need a more focused one. So please keep that in mind when dealing with a surveillance application. And then obviously we've got the big daddy of all the Bullet cameras. We've got a 22 times optical zoom and starlight Bullet camera. So we do have a couple of, before we go on, we do have a couple of cameras that support starlight feature. We'll get into that later on. That's a very nice feature that you should consider when doing a surveillance application. That just clears up the image in the night. Okay, so giving you color image, even if there's very low light applications. Let's call it that. Again, so with this 22 times optical zoom, you've got an IR of up to 200 meters. That's far. That's a very far distance that you can see at night. And this has a very focal motorized zoom lens. So 6.5 to 143 millimeter lens. So as I mentioned before, the lower the number, the wider the view of angle. The more higher the number, the more focused the view of angle. Okay, so let's continue with that. The very important aspect to consider when going into any surveillance solution is what lens is going to be needed. Okay, so in regards to the dome IP cameras, so the dome cameras are mostly used for indoor applications, but almost all of our domes now support IP67, once again, water and dust resistant, as well as IK10, which is vandal resistant. Basically meaning that you can now install dome cameras outside as well. Just make sure it is IP67 rated and IK10 rated. Again, So then, let's start with the mini dome cameras. These are the smallest dome cameras that we have. They've got an IR of up to 30 meters, and they're just like a versatile to install, very easy to install as well. You get your fixed dome camera, which in size and form factor is a bit bigger, but it supports wider view of angles, a bit further IR, and it is just a more robust solution. Then we have varifocal dome cameras. As I mentioned, we've got motorized varifocal dome cameras if you need to change your view of angle on your lens. And then we've got eyeball dome cameras and different eyeball dome cameras. I would normally suggest with the eyeball dome cameras or turret cameras, install them relatively in a high application or a high environment where it's you can't reach it, because you can change the view of angle manually. Okay. And then probably one of my most favorite cameras is the PTZ cameras, PTZ IP cameras. So with the PTZ cameras, they are mostly installed in, well, they're perfect for other applications because they can zoom in very far. We've got PTZ cameras that can cover 30, 50, 100, up until 1,000 meters of IR at night. That's pretty far. That's really enterprise applications. So let's start with the indoor mini PTZ camera. So this is just a PTZ camera for indoor environments. It can cover up to 30 meters of IR, and this is just very nice to have if you want to, if you've got a very interactive application where you've got a control room and they want to obviously change the view of angle and pan, tilt, and zoom the camera as they go on throughout the day. Then brand new that Uniview has released is the outdoor mini PTZ camera. So this actually hit the market with a major storm, and it's really turning everything upside down because of the cost effectiveness of this camera and what it can do. This camera supports 50 meters of IR auto tracking. So this is an entry level camera that supports auto tracking. So what that basically means is if it detects an object, person, or car or anything moving, it will start to follow that specific object, car, or person. That's a more pro, well, mid to pro level feature. And the pricing on this camera is extremely good. They also support all the latest smart features as well, and suitable for outdoor applications. The only camera in the PTZ range that can't be installed outdoor is the indoor mini PTZ. Okay, and then just to go on quickly, we've got loads of different PTZ cameras that can zoom up to 33 times, 22, 22, 44 times, and 44 positioning systems. So these cameras can zoom up until 100 to 1,000 meters to 500 meters at night, and that is really more than enough. And it gives you the ability to have an awesome interactive PTZ system. Okay, so then we have a OmniView range as well. So the first one is the outdoor OmniView camera. It's a 4K camera, Starlight, with Starlight as well. So as I mentioned, as the sun goes down, obviously the lightning is a bit dark. So this camera makes sure that your image quality is perfect and clear and in color, and it basically just delays the IR of the camera itself. So this specific camera supports 4 4K cameras in one, so actually giving you a 480-degree panoramic view. The awesome thing about this camera is you can actually add your PTZ camera. Let's say you bought a 22 times optical PTZ camera as well. You've got a parking lot. You can add your PTZ onto this camera, and this camera will give you that 480-degree view of angle. And if it detects any motion or whatever, the PTZ will actually start to zoom in. Because what happens normally is if you only have a PTZ and it's set on auto tracking, right? And there's movement on the right-hand side, the camera will obviously follow that movement. But it will miss the movement that is on the left-hand side. And that is a major problem, where the OmniView camera covers everything 180 degrees at all times. Okay. So it's a very important camera to consider when having a wide open area that we need to, obviously install. And at the end, it's going to help you reduce cost because less laboring. You're going to need one camera for a 480-degree view of angle instead of 4 or 5 cameras, 4 or 5 domes. So at the end, in terms of installation wise, it's going to be so much easier and quicker, and you're going to need less cameras at the end, which is going to be more cost effective for your pocket. And then we have a indoor panoramic camera, and it's called the 4K fisheye camera. So this is also any installer's dream, because this camera gives you a full 360-degree view of angle. We do have fisheye cameras that can do 180, but the 360 one is more your popular version. Again, so what makes this camera special is it gives you that 360-degree view of angle, which is perfect for, let's call it, retail stores, classrooms, and so on and so forth, right? And then that 360-degree view of angle can be split into 5 different angles, basically giving you 5 different angles, including the 360-degree one, basically giving you 4 cameras or 5 cameras in one, which is any installer's dream because it's quick installation. You're getting 5 different view of angles, and it's just, it works, it is brilliant, it's a good application, and there's not a lot of cameras in the room. They also support built-in mic and speaker, so you can actually hear and speak to the person, and you can install them on a wall or on a ceiling. So it's really up to you of how you want to install them. Please also remember that they only work with the NVR 304-E-B series, because that supports, this is a very important aspect to consider. Your NVR needs to support fisheye dewarping modes, and the only NVR that supports that is the 304-E-B series. Okay, that's that for the fisheye camera. So this is actually also a brand new thing that Uniview released, is the home Wi-Fi security video doorbell. So this is for your clients that has a small, relatively small Uniview solution, a 4-channel NVR, or let's call it an 8-channel NVR installed at home with your, let's call it 6 IP dome and mini bullet cameras, and they want something that's different. So then you give them a video doorbell. So what makes this different from the other brands is this video doorbell supports an SD card. We'll get into that now. It is a 2-megapixel Wi-Fi connected camera. So you connect it to your router, or to, let's call it, your access point, and allocate that IP address to the NVR itself. That's not PoE powered, it's powered by a normal AC power. And you connect it via your access point and router and allocate that IP address to your NVR. I'm getting a question costing on the doorbell. They are quite cost effective. I can't remember the price exactly, but obviously if you do want to price on them, please just mail sales@miro.co.za. Our prices are available online as well on our website. So, but I'll also, after this meeting, I'll send you a mail as well, just containing all the prices. Okay, awesome. And then these cameras support two-way talk, so you can talk to the person on the other side, you can listen to them, and it's all managed by your app, which is awesome, your Easy View app. They are IP65 rated, meaning they are waterproof, and this point is very important. They support a micro SD slot up until 128 gig. Okay, so this is a very important aspect to consider when going into the video doorbell solution. A lot of other video doorbells don't support SD cards, and this is what makes it different. Because if your Wi-Fi goes down for, let's say, an hour, you're going to lose your footage. Where with this, all your footage will be failed over onto your SD card, and once your Wi-Fi is back on online and everything, that footage will be then sent back to your NVR and then obviously be wiped from the SD card in order to make space for the next failover. So this is an important aspect to consider when choosing a video doorbell. They have clear infrared up until 5 meters. They don't need a lot of far distances in terms of IR because it's relatively close quarter surveillance. They've got customizable motion zones, so you can set the sensitivity levels, you can set the areas. They've got instant mobile alert, so if there is any motion, they'll definitely let you know as soon as possible. Well, not as soon as possible. The app will let you know, and it's push notification. So if there is anything, you just click on the notification, and it will take you directly to the footage on your app. And then most importantly, there's no web-based software. It is all connected to your existing NVR system. Okay, so you are completely in control of all your footage, what you want to have, what you want to delete, and everything is connected to your existing NVR system. So to give you a good illustration is there's all your IP cameras. You add your video doorbell connected by your access point or router and allocate that IP address to your NVR system and then manage it from your EZ station management software or your mobile software. Okay, and that's that for the video doorbell. It's a very cool and awesome product. It is hitting the market with a massive storm, and really it is cost effective as well. It's really not going to break your pocket or anything, and it's something new, and it has that extra support SD slot that is so much needed. Okay, and then in regards to network video recorders. So in our portfolio, we've got a 4-channel, 8-channel, a 16-channel. So before I go on, in regards to a channel, so a 4-channel basically means you can take 4 IP cameras. 8-channel, 8 IP cameras, 16 IP cameras, and so on and so forth. We've got a 32, 64, and 128 channel. So let's say you've got a client, and your client requested a 8-channel NVR from us, basically meaning you can install 8 IP cameras. Does it mean that you can't install more IP cameras on that specific property? No. You can add another NVR and just add it to the same server, basically. And then, but we normally try and recommend, if your client wants an 8-channel NVR, give him a 16 one. Give him the option to, if there is blind spots within his surveillance solution, then they can easily just quickly add a small IP bullet camera or a dome or whatever camera. Then they've got 8 extra IP slots, IP channels to work with. So if your client asks for 4, try and sell them 8 because it gives them that. It gives you that leverage because you're going to get more business from that specific client. And there's always blind spots in a surveillance system. So you think you need 5, but you're actually going to need 7 or 8 or 10 cameras in order to completely or to have a reliable surveillance solution. Okay, so we've got NVRs that support PoE up until 16 ports. So PoE is power over Ethernet. So these network video recorders, these are relatively for smaller applications because it's only 16 ports, so meaning you can only power 16 cameras on that specific NVR. But it's nice because it decreases the points of failure on your surveillance system. You don't need an extra switch. You just need that NVR, just giving you a complete unified system. But also remember, if you've got bigger applications where you need 32 and more cameras, please rather take a switch because sometimes those cameras are a bit far away from the management center, and you're going to need a dedicated switch to power those cameras. I hope that makes sense. Please, guys, if you do have any questions, please pop it in the question mark. I'll try and answer them as good as possible and as informative as possible. And then in regards to the Easy series, we've got the Easy from 1-year warranties up until the 3-year warranty NVRs. We've got Easy up until Pro. And all these cameras, the medium and the Pro series supports most of all the smart features, all the nice, which we will get into in the next few slides. And the Easy series supports, your basic smart features such as motion detection, tampering detection, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then this is a very important one. If you want to become a very big surveillance integrator for your clients, is a good VMS system. So we've got a very good and reliable and cost-effective VMS system. It's called the Unicorn. Don't ask me why it's called the Unicorn, but it's called the Unicorn, and it's a pretty epic VMS system. So this VMS system can manage up to 1,000 devices, basically meaning 1,000 NVRs and 2,000 IP cameras. And that's a lot of IP cameras. So this is more if you want to provide your client let's call it a solution such as backup storage. Okay, so you've got your Unicorn, all of your NVR, all of your hard drive that's included in the Unicorn. That's also in the next few slides, and then you can actually you can provide backup failure and backup storage for each house. So let's do a solution. You've got 4 different clients in 4 different areas. They've got their NVRs, 4-channel NVR here, and a 4-channel NVR at each, let's call it each house with 4 cameras. Now, if those cameras and NVRs are connected to the internet, you can send all that footage back to the Unicorn and save your client's footage, basically creating a backup storage for your client. Because what happens most of the time is they get a break-in, they go for the NVR and destroy the NVR. What happens next? The client loses their footage. They're asking you for footage and you can't provide them. If you can add a monthly fee, which at the end creates a recurring income. So what happens is, if you have this Unicorn in your client, and obviously you don't have to provide them with 5 or 10 months of backup storage, because if something happens, they normally report it within a week or 2 at the latest. So you don't have to provide them with so long backup storage at the end. This is a brilliant way to create recurring income for your business. Again, I'm getting a question, how do I connect an offsite camera to an NVR network? So you're going to have to, so if I understand the question correct, your camera and your NVR is in different places. So you're just going to have to obviously power the camera up via your PoE switch. Your PoE switch will then be connected to your router or whatever connectivity point you have there. And that IP address and IP addresses, depending on how many cameras, have to be allocated to your specific NVR, and you have to manually add them. And then you can actually monitor it from an off-site point. I hope that answers your question. And then obviously you've got your Unicorn as well. So if you've got your, let's use our branches as an example. You've got a Durban, Nelspruit, and Gauteng branch, and Cape Town branch, and your headquarters as the Unicorn. All the other branches have their own NVRs and IP cameras, and all that footage is sent back to the main headquarters in Gauteng via the internet, and then is saved as a backup storage system. Okay, obviously please also remember that you can manage each camera. You can set rights and authorities and everything on the VMS system as well. So if you want to be a relatively interactive company and do a armed response kind of solution, that is also possible. Okay, I hope that makes sense in regards to how to connect an offsite camera to a NVR system. So this is basically how a unified management platform in the in the Unicorn looks like. You've got all your, it can power up your, it's connected to your decoders, video wall, your keyboards. You can even do access control with these systems. You can obviously power up to 1,000 NVRs. Well, not power up, but control 1,000 NVRs. 2,000 cameras. You can do on-VIF cameras as well. You can do hybrid NVRs, and you can add disk enclosures. That is in the next slide as well. Okay, so within the Unicorn, this is an all-in-one VMS system. Okay, so as I mentioned, you can control up to 1,000 devices and 2,000 cameras. In the Unicorn, you can add up to 48 hard drives. And that's a lot of SATA space that you're going to have when you have this Unicorn solution. So you're going to have up to 48 hard drives if you add up until 2 disk enclosures per Unicorn. The Unicorn itself only supports 16 SATA slots, basically meaning that you can only add 16 hard drives directly into the Unicorn. More than that, you're going to need your additional disk enclosures. Again, so it can take up until 512 megabits per second, almost half a gig, incoming bandwidth, and you can have up until 112 cameras showing on your screens. But I'll show you in the next slide how you're going to do that. So in regards to the hardware overview, you've got your 16 SATA slots. Remember, the Unicorn only supports 16 SATA slots up until 12 terabytes. Okay? So that is inserted directly into the NVR for built-in storage. And if you're going to need more storage than that, so this is just a good start off solution. If you need more storage, just buy an extra enclosure and then add your more hard drives into that extra enclosure. Okay. So in regards to the hardware overview, this Unicorn supports 2 SFP ports for optical fiber, 4 GE ports for 3 working modes. It has 4 USB ports. It can take up until 10 HDMI decoders. So on the Unicorn itself, you've got your 2 HDMI ports or 2 screens and a VGA port for your third screen. If you need more than 3 screens, we recommend that you buy additional a 6-channel or a 4-channel or both to give you at the end 13 screens for your video surveillance management center. Okay, but please remember that the decoders don't come with that. You can buy that additionally. Otherwise, if everything was included into this would be a very, very expensive startup thing to do. And that's what Uniview is trying to do. They want to try and reduce the cost, and only as you grow, you can grow with your equipment. Okay, and obviously it has a 24 alarm in and 8 alarm out ports for additional alarms that you want to add. It has 2 mini SAS enclosures that you can add as well. Okay. In regards to that's how it's going to look if you add the additional decoders. So you've got your screens, and then obviously each HDMI is for a screen. Again, this is relatively how it would look like if you have a solution, a Unicorn solution. So this is your main headquarters. This is your building. This is where you are managing and providing storage failover for your clients. Okay, this is your clients. They've got their cameras and they've got their NVRs connected. Everything is connected to the internet. And obviously for IP surveillance, you want to view it from anywhere in the world, so it has to be connected to the internet. But you can go a step further and allocate all that footage back to your Unicorn. You can add a slave as well for even to back up your Unicorn. Again, so this is basically how it would look like. And this is a relatively normal installation. Remember, it can take thousands and thousands of cameras and up to 1,000 MVRs. So you can really service a lot of clients going forward if you want to go into this route. Again, so in regards to the storage itself, as I mentioned, you have 16 SATA slots in the NVR, in this VMS system, but it is expandable, and you can add 2 disk enclosures per Unicorn. Okay, so then with 2 disk enclosures, you have a 8 or a 16 one. We recommend the 16 one if you want to go big, go entirely big, because the 8 SATA disk enclosure is just going to waste space, and you're going to have to buy another 8 one when your business is growing. So at the end, if you take the 16 one, you're going to have up until 48 hard drives available, 48 12 terabyte hard drives if you want to go the 12 terabyte route. And how much does that give you? It gives you 576 terabyte on this system. Now that's a lot. That's a lot of backup space to provide your clients. And also remember, your clients will also be storing on their own NVR and hard drives. You are only providing them an extra service. We have another solution. We have an additional a solution that will obviously help you create an even better solution in terms of backup storage. It's called the Ultra H265, but we'll get into that later on in this presentation. That's very important, and it's a very important aspect because it's going to help you save a lot of money and make a lot of money. Okay. So in regards, that's that for the Unicorn. I hope you guys feel satisfied in terms of the information of the Unicorn. It's a very awesome solution to give your clients, and it gives you a more interactive experience with your clients, and it gives you the opportunity to create a incoming and recurring revenue coming in every month for your business. Okay, so as I mentioned, UniView also does a couple of PoE switches. They're not very big on PoE switches, but they do provide surveillance switches. And what makes these switches so unique is they support range extend. So let's say you have a installation where it is further than 200 meters, then I would recommend, well, let's call it 200 meters. Depending on the cable, you have to use Cat6 or the best cable possible in order to get those distances. If you've got a far distant application and you need to cable it, then I would recommend one of these switches because they support range extend up until 250 meters, but it is also based on a case-by-case basis. Okay, depending on the cabling that you're using, the power that the cameras, needs to take in order to perform at its best. So yeah, it all depends on different types of aspects that you have to consider. Also, a very important thing that the UniView switches provide you is 2 uplink ports. So this is very important because the one is for your NVR and the other one is for your router. Again, so very good and effective installation methods. Again, so they support a 4-port PoE switch for 4 cameras, 8 ports for 8 cameras, 16 for 16 cameras, and 24-port PoE switch for 24 cameras. Okay. Then in regards to the Heat Tracker series, this is actually a series that became popular just about a year ago because of the entire pandemic. And the reason for this is because it reads temperature. So we've got one that can read your forehead temperature. It can detect whether you've got a mask on, and it can do face capturing. Then we have the OTC 513. This is a non-contact wrist temperature system. We actually have one installed in our company and at all of our branches, and it's working really, really well. It's just a simple plug-and-play unit. You plug it in, and it just takes the temperature. If it's above abnormal temperature, it will, obviously give out an alarm in order for you to talk to that specific client and ask them just to rescan and so on and so forth. Okay. So what it basically gives you, it gives you the counting of the people that entered your building. It has adjustable heights on this pole. The pole is included as a nice LCD screen, and it's completely a standalone device. You don't need a UniView system in order to buy this. It is plug and play, and that is what you're getting. Okay, and then obviously we've got the UN-TIC 600. This is more your pro level temperature detection trackers. And what it is basically is it has a black box as well, and it can track up to 6 people at a time. Okay, at a distance of 3 to 5 meters. And then obviously above that specific person, it will show the temperature and the photo and everything of that specific person. You'll normally see these type of solutions at airports and more your bigger, more high traffic areas. Okay, then in regards to the UniView accessories, we've got everything that you would need in order to fulfill an entire surveillance solution. We've got your junction boxes. This is just a couple. This is a drop in the water of all the accessories that we have. We've got the pole mounting solutions. We've got everything that is needed in order to fulfill that application. We've got a PTZ keyboard as well in order to make your PTZ experience more interactive. So this is if you've got a control center where somebody is constantly working with the PTZs, this is just a perfect way to use it. And obviously, optimizing your entire surveillance system. And then in regards to the hard drives, we've got a 2 terabyte up until a 12 terabyte hard drive. So depending on your application and how many storage you need, we can really supply you with any type of hard drive that you would need. Okay. Then in regards to the UniView software, this is a very important aspect to remember. The UniView software is free to use. There's no monthly fees. There's no nothing. There's no headaches. You download it from UniView's website, and then you're good to go. You've got your mobile software, your mobile app, and you've got your management software. Even your VMS software, which obviously handles up until thousands and thousands of cameras, is also free. So what does this software provide you? It provides you live view scenes, custom layouts, split screens, and that's just a couple of them. Recording, local recording, arm triggers recording, scheduled recordings, recording downloads. It gives you good playbacks. It gives you PTZ control. So you can preset your PTZs. You can give them a path to follow. They can, obviously, you can be a very interactive system if you want to with the software. And once again, it is free. Okay, and then obviously different alarms. There is device alarms and alarms on the NVR itself, and it has EMAT hotspots, hot zones, and this is a very effective feature to use if you've got an application. Let's say, for example, a shopping center where there's different aisles in different areas. Then you can obviously set your hotspot alarms to make your management center and system much easier. Okay. So as I mentioned, you get your business software, which is your VMS software, and that's also free. You get your management software for your relatively mid to high level applications. That is your EZ View, and then you get your mobile software, which is, sorry, your client software is your EZ Station, and your mobile client app is called the EZ View. And that is there to obviously help you monitor and just watch your footage from anywhere in the world. This is mostly used by the end user. This is also used by the end user and, well, the client itself, the business, and this is used if you are running a unicorn or some sort of VMS system. Okay, so why smart? Why? So we're going to go into a couple of smart features that is currently available within the UniView range. And before we go into it, I'm going to tell you why they are so important to use. Okay, so first of all, it's going to help you save storage. So if you use your smart features effectively, you're going to help you save storage because your cameras and your surveillance system will only work when it has to work. It won't record 24 hours a day and keeps on building up all that storage, but actually it's not monitoring anything. Okay. It's going to help you save bandwidth. So you don't have to buy these high-end point-to-point and point-to-multipoint wireless radios in order to send your footage back. If you're using your smart features effectively, you can use a nice cost-effective radio, wireless radio, in order to send your footage back. We'll do an application, a physical application, later on in this presentation as well, and that will make more sense to you when I say in regards to the bandwidth. Okay, and then obviously it optimizes your security solution. It really brings out everything the camera has to offer, and it just makes it more interactive at the end. Okay, so that's 4 reasons why it is very important to use smart features. They are there, and they are a bit more, the cameras are a bit more expensive when it comes to smart features, especially with the new smart features that UniView has added, but it's still relatively good priced. It's not going to break your client's budget, and it is going to be reliable. In regard to a couple of VCA, so that's basically the smart analytics on the UniView system. This is the normal VCA smart feature. So you've got your cross-line feature. So what that basically is if anything crosses a specific line, your camera will start recording. If nothing crosses that, your camera won't record. And what happens then, you're going to save bandwidth and you're going to save storage. You're only going to use your camera when it is needed. Same with intrusion detection. This is a bit different, but still very much the same as cross-line. It is just basically a block that you're drawing on your system, and if anything enters that specific block, your camera will start recording. It supports face detection, tampering detection, so if anybody touches or tries to harm your camera, notifications will be sent to you. Okay, it has motion detection. If any motion is detected, it will also send you alerts. Scene change, defocus, audio detection if your camera supports audio, people counting, and auto tracking. So these are just relatively your normal VCA smart features. And you do have a couple of triggered actions that you have here. You've got your email, your alarm in and out, if you want to add a siren or whatever to your solution, snapshots, upload to FTP, records, and then obviously your preset with your PTZ. Okay. Just to give you a quick example of a couple of these smart features in action. So this is called the True WDR, Wide Dynamic Range. So what this basically does is this is a nice entrance, but in that entrance, there's obviously dark areas. If you switch this feature on, it's going to obviously clear up that entire image. Then you've got your smart IR. So obviously, if somebody walks, if it's normal infrared, if they walk towards the camera, the person will relatively, will be faded, where the smart IR clears up everything. Very important is the highlight compensation. If your camera supports this and you have a application where you need to install at a road or where a lot of cars and traffic is, you don't want image looking like this if a car comes near the camera or driving towards the camera. With a click of a button, switching on that highlight compensation, that will clear up everything so you can see everything, because that at the end is the entire objective of a camera, is to see everything when something happens. Then you've got simple features such as corridor mode, which just changes the view of angle. Starlight, which is a very important feature. There's a new feature called Light Hunter, which is almost the same as Starlight. Well, actually exactly the same. It's just for the new series. So what this basically does is, this is a low light application, and this is relatively, let's call it 7 o'clock at night. Obviously, it is too light for the IR to switch over, the infrared, to switch over to black and white image. So the image quality on this is dark and you can't see everything. Where if your camera supports Starlight, you're going to see everything. And that looks like as if it is at least 4 o'clock still. So this is a major factor and aspect to consider when doing a surveillance solution, to check whether your camera supports the Starlight feature. And then they've got digital defog, so if it's a foggy area, it will just clear that up. Cross-line detection, as I mentioned, if anything crosses that specific line, or let's call it line above your gate or whatever, your camera will start recording. Same with your intrusion detection. You draw a block, and if anything enters that block, the camera will start recording. Then there's a new feature called the human body detection feature. So this will actually, it's on a couple of our cameras, it will actually only record when it detects a human person. Okay. People counting, this is very good for stats for a company such as, let's call it a shopping center, because it gives you the amount of entries and the amount of people left that specific building. A nice smart feature that is only on the PTZ. Also remember, when it comes to auto tracking, just make sure that your NVR also supports auto tracking, because smart features works on both ends. Your camera has to support it, and your NVR has to support smart features in order for it to work effectively. Okay, so basically how auto tracking works is you set up a, let's call it a cross-line area, and then if the car or person or whatever crosses that specific line, the camera will start zooming in into that specific object or car until it reaches its end limit, okay, until that specific person or car is out of the view of angle of the camera. Again, but if you've got a PTZ, it will zoom in quite far depending on your optical zooms, and try to keep on that, to stay on that specific car or person as long as possible. Okay, then we've got LPR, license plate recognition cameras and features. This is basically self-explanatory. It is a camera that every time it detects a LPR, it captures that car, captures that license plate, and stores it onto the UniView database. You can go then even a step further and whitelist or blacklist that specific car. So if that car comes again to that, let's call it school or business park or estate, and that car is blacklisted, that specific number plate is blacklisted, you will receive a notification or a alarm trigger or whatever, depending on how you set it, if that specific car is in that area and that camera has caught that specific license plate. Very effective to use for estates and schools and so on and so forth. Then we've got thermal detection, heat tracker solutions like we spoke about earlier. In order for with the entire pandemic, this was a quite effective solution to use. So now we're going to talk about all the new arrivals, what UniView just released. Okay, so the new arrivals is basically split into 3 different sections. So you get your Echo site, and they're all part of the Prime series and the Pro series. So in the Prime series, you've got your Echo side, and they're surprisingly very well priced in terms of, so you're getting so much more, but you're getting a camera that is reliable, that's going to give you less false alarms at a brilliant price. Again, so these cameras support AI technology, and this specific camera supports smart intrusion prevention. So just in short, smart intrusion prevention helps you detect whether it's a car, person, or non-motor vehicle, such as a bike or so on and so forth, in that specific area. It will not pick up bugs, pets, and so on and so forth. So in the Deep Sight series, you've got, this is basically your middle-end AI products, and they support smart intrusion prevention, people counting, deep face capture. And then in the Alpha View series, this is your flagship of the entire UniView series, and they support smart intrusion prevention, people counting, deep face capture, and video metadata. We'll go into each new smart feature in the next slides. What makes these cameras more special when compared to all the other cameras? They all support, even the lower end, even the Echo Sight series, they all support built-in deep learning technology in order to help your camera to capture more effectively and reduce that false alarms. We've got a couple of applications where our clients have installed, and they are so impressed with these cameras. They really still told us that these cameras are really the next big thing. They all support smart intrusion prevention. They all support Light Hunter, even the entry-level Echo Sight series. So what Light Hunter basically is remember that feature that we spoke about, the Starlight feature, which just clears up your image and basically keeps your image in color? So every camera supports that. We'll go into that feature a bit later on. All the cameras support SD failover. So once again, if your Wi-Fi or whatever goes down, the footage will be saved on the SD card and then gets sent back to the NVR once your connectivity is back online. They all support all the premium smart features, alarm settings. They all support IK10 ratings. So basically meaning that dome and that lens is IK10 rated, vandal resistant. They all support IP67, which is basically a standard feature, and they all support Ultra H.265. Now this is a very important feature to remember, but also every other UniView camera supports Ultra H.265. So it is a standard feature, but a very important feature, and I'll get to that, and I'll get to the reason in the next few slides. So please remember that word. So the new smart features that will change the surveillance industry as we know it is the deep learning facial recognition. So this is basically just, we'll get into that in the next slide. The video metadata, enhanced people counting, enhanced face capture, and smart intrusion prevention, SIP feature. Again, and then lastly, just the Light Hunter, which is on all the cameras. That's just a quick thing that I want to show you, and it's very important on these new series. Again, so in regards to facial recognition, when you think of facial recognition, it's not specifically going to capture that person and going to give you the name, age, and all that, because your UniView system is not connected to a police database. Okay, so how it works is it's like a very, very high-end facial detection system where it captures all the faces, and then you can go further and obviously add name, age, all that kind of stuff to that specific person. Okay, and then you can blacklist and whitelist, same as the LPR camera. What makes this different is it can capture up to 40 faces at a time, so it's high traffic areas. And at the end, you are going to build your own database. Again, so how it works is the wide usage of facial recognition. It will capture you if it's a wide view of angle. Please try and keep it as in front as possible. Let's call it an entrance or so on, just to keep your capturing as effective and successful at all times. It will capture you when you wear glasses and obviously hats and all that. So if you're trying to disguise, this camera will definitely catch you and recognize you if you are loaded onto the system. Again, so to give you an example quickly, if you've got a mall and somebody try to steal something out of a shop or whatever, you can go then and take his specific face capture, face image on the system and import all his data on that specific image, and this camera will has deep learning technology, so it will keep on searching for that person until it finds it, and if it finds that specific person and he is blacklisted, you are going to get a lot of stranger alarms and list alarms. Again, also a nice way how you can do this is for companies if they've got a VIP client that is visiting them, they can add this VIP client, and then obviously once that specific person walks into the building and the camera captures him, it's going to tell you, listen, he is going to the camera is going to send you notifications. Again, in regards to the metadata, so metadata is just basically high deep learning technology where it's going to differentiate between a car, person, and non-motor vehicle and keep that into the entire picture at all times in order to make the SIP feature more successful at the edge. If I can, so to give you an example, in a normal IPC camera, this is going to be your footage. With the metadata IPC camera, this is going to be your footage. It's going to try and recognize all the cars within that picture as well as all the people and non-motor vehicle. It's just going to help you retrieve data much faster and easier. Okay, so then in regards to people counting, this is also it's quite a standard smart feature, but with the deep learning technology, it is much better and quicker and more reliable. And so as you can see, how it works is basically it's just a cross-line feature that you set up, and as soon as anything or anyone crosses, well, specifically people, obviously, because it is people counting, if they cross that specific line, it will definitely tell you how many people entered and how many people left a, let's call it, specific building. The reason why this is important is because for stats, once again, if you are a, let's call it a shopping center or a mall, you want to know how many people entered the building and how many left. And then obviously if there's a difference between those two, there is still somebody in that shopping center, and you can go back and try and look for that person that is maybe hiding from you trying to steal throughout the night and stuff. So it's a very important feature for stats. Again, so then in regards to the face capture, this is a bit more entry level when compared to the facial recognition. So this is just basically going to capture that specific person's face and add it to the UniView system. Then you can, obviously, you're not going to be able to import all the data on that specific face. You can just blacklist or whitelist that face. And if the camera detects that specific face again or captures that specific face, it will send you a alarm in order to notify you that that specific person is in the building. Okay, and then probably the most important smart feature that they released is the smart intrusion prevention. So what this basically is it uses cross-line detection, which is probably one of the most important and most reliable smart analytic throughout the entire surveillance brands and the entire surveillance industry. And the reason for this is before the deep learning technology and before this SIP smart intrusion prevention feature came out, the cross-line detection was the feature that gave the most, well, let's call it, not a lot of false alarms in your surveillance solution. It still picked up when a pet or whatever crossed that specific line, but yeah. Due to this new technology that came out, that is a thing of the past. So what is it going to do? It's basically going to capture a human vehicle or non-motor vehicle. So if anything crosses that specific line, if it's a car, person, or bike, it will start monitoring. And why is this important? Simply because you want to reduce false alarms. The first 5 false alarms that you are getting, you're going to stop looking at your notifications. So that was the problem throughout the security industry. and a lot of brands struggled with that, with reducing false alarms tremendously, because at the end, if you've got a control center or a management center where you actually physically managing everything the entire time and you're getting false alarms, 30 false alarms every 30 seconds, you're going to stop, looking at these type of features. So that was a very big obstacle, and I'm glad and happy to say that UniView has overcome this obstacle. Okay, so at the end, it's going to take out all the, the false alarms, pets, bugs, birds, all those alarms that you don't want to have, and obviously not send it. And then just the important alarms, it's going to send it to you. And you can use it with cross-line intrusion, inter-area, and leave area features, but I would recommend leave it at cross-line, because the reason for this is if you use the intrusion detection feature, there's more chance for it to pick up false alarms. Even though it is a deep learning camera, you don't want to test the camera. You want to make it as easy as possible for the camera to work as successful as possible, and to, obviously reduce all the false alarms. And then from there, if you want to go retrieve an event, you can actually go and retrieve a human file, a vehicle file, and that just reduces the searching time. If you've got a big company that has a lot of cameras that you have to search, so that it does make it much easier. Oh, sorry about that. So I'm just going to quickly go back to that. Okay, so that's that for the smart intrusion prevention. It's a very important feature. It's not a very, we've got cameras that is quite, is very good priced, and it supports smart intrusion prevention. It's just the future of smart analytics going forward. So we highly recommend to use it, and we've received very good positive feedback from clients that already installed these cameras. Okay, so as I mentioned with the Light Hunter technology, this is just basically same as the Starlight. If it's a low light application, the camera will obviously recognize that and then keep the video footage in color as long as possible. And then even if there's very low light, even darker than this, it will still keep it in color until it is really just too dark to keep it in color. And then the IR switch will come, and then obviously convert that image into black and white. Okay, so that's just basically Light Hunter. It's exactly the same as Starlight. It is just the new name for the new series. Okay, so this is the important part that I want to get to, is the UniView Ultra H265. So when it comes to video compression, the standard video compression is H264. Now H264 takes up a lot of bandwidth and a lot of storage. To give you an example, that's relatively how it's going to look on a normal H264 surveillance system. Then the brands also, many of the brands and, obviously international brands came up with H265, which is a much better video compression technology. And that obviously reduced the storage and the bandwidth by at least 40%, 30 to 40%. Okay. Then UniView came up with the, it's a video compression that's quite standard, but the Ultra H265 for all the UniView cameras. So what this basically is it helps you reduce your band consumption and storage up to 80 to 95% without any loss in image quality. And that is a very important aspect to remember and to consider. When you're compressing a video image, does your image quality reduce as well? And with Ultra H265, it really doesn't. We do have an example in the next slide. Okay, so to give you a quick example, this is two cameras. I don't know what is the image quality on your side. It is still a presentation, but this is relatively how it would look like. This is a video compression on H264. You can see the bit rate is 4.01 megabits per second, with the frame rate being 25 frames per second on a 2 megapixel setting. With Ultra H.265, it reduced that bit rate to 128 kilobits per second. It's almost 90% in compression. It's still on 25 frames per second, and it's still on 2 megapixels. And as you can see, the image quality is exactly the same. So what is it? It is H.265 plus UniView's algorithm, which gives you Ultra H.265. And this is available on all the UniView cameras and NVRs. And the reason for this is they want to give you the opportunity to help your clients to save money and to help you save money and make more money, and even if you provide them with entry-level solutions. So from your small 5 megapixel, small mini bullet camera that up until your Alpha View camera, they are all Ultra H.265. So to give you a quick example, you've got a 35 channel solution of 2 megapixels, and they've got a 25 frames per second. They are all recording 30 days a month and 24 hours a day. And this is what you're going to need for Ultra H.265. Oh, well, 264, sorry about that. So with Ultra H.265, you're going to need 2 hard drives. So that is the major difference. This is big, and it's going to help you save money, and it's going to help you gain more projects because you're going to help save your client money. At the end, this is just a very effective way to keep that business and keep that clients, obviously committed to you because you gave them a very good solution. Okay. So this is on an H.264 solution. This is an Ultra H.265. So why is it important? What is it about Ultra H.265 that is so important for you to use? Okay. So it helps you save cost. And I mentioned that a couple of times throughout this entire presentation. It helps you save cost because, as you can imagine, the cost between 12 hard drives and 2 hard drives is quite significant. It's going to help you save bandwidth. So bandwidth basically meaning you're not going to need all those massive wireless radios in order to send all that footage back to your main base station or your management center. And at the end, it's going to help you save storage, which gives you more backup space at the more backup days. If you have let's say you're running a unicorn, instead of giving your clients 3 days of backup storage, with Ultra H.265, you're going to be able to give them 7 days at that same price. That's just a small example, but that is really where you can go. It's really there to help you make your business grow, not only in terms of margins and sales, but really to help your clients as well. Okay, so just a quick another example. So there is an EZ Tools calculator that you can download from UniView's website, and this will help you just calculate what is needed exactly for that specific solution. So you've got a 32 channel, your client wants 32 channels, 32 cameras. Then you just add a 32 to this channel number, and that's your 32 cameras. Your video compression is H.265. This is going to be a different, I'm going to show you how to obviously set it up. So the compression is on H.265, and please remember, in order to get Ultra H.265, you have to change your U code to advanced mode, and that will obviously H.265 plus U code gives you Ultra H.265. Again, and the resolution is 4 megapixels. The frames per second is still 25, and then you just click OK, and then obviously that's going to show you how much is needed. If you ask your client, you're going to give them 10 days of recording time, 24 hours a day. You're going to need 2 4 terabyte hard drives. So it works out exactly how much backup space you're going to have and what is needed in order to obviously stay to that backup space and recording time. Again, I hope that makes sense. Now I'm going to show you 2 installation methods that you can use when you are a surveillance installer. So first of all, you've got your CCTV wired solution. This is relatively how it normally looks like. Okay, so you've got your management center, you've got your video wall, your EZ station, your network video recorder, which is the brain of the operation because everything is connected to this. Okay. Then that is then connected to your switch. If you've got an application that is more than, let's say, 16 cameras and further than, well, much farther than a normal small home surveillance solution. So this is a mall. Let's say this is a small shopping center. You've got your warehouses, entrance and exits, cashiers, shopping areas, and parking lots. All these cameras are then connected via PoE cable, Cat6 or Cat5. Remember, PoE cable is power over Ethernet, so that will give these camera power and Ethernet via one cable. That at the end helps you reduce labor, it helps you reduce installation time, and just helps you save cost at the end. Okay. And then please also remember with the PTZs, not all of the PTZs supports power over Ethernet. Some of the PTZs really have high power consumption, and then if that is the case, they do come with their own PSUs in order for their own power. Because as you can imagine, these PTZs have a lot of moving components, which draws a lot of power at the end. So if you connect it to that, it could cause a power exhaustion on your switch itself. Okay. That is then, your switch is then connected to your NVR. Everything is connected via your switch to your NVR. From here, you manage everything. And from your NVR, you just give that internet, and then you can manage your cameras via the EZ Cloud through EZ View or EZ Station. And you can actually manage it from anywhere. You can watch your cameras, you can watch your footage from anywhere in the world. Again, then a wireless solution. And why am I giving you information on a wireless solution? Because sometimes an installation, if it's further than 200 meters, you're going to have to do a quick point-to-point solution, because obviously giving power to a camera can't go further than 200 meters. So this is a very important aspect to consider when doing a solution. And sometimes there's clients that don't allow you to physically cable up a camera. You can't lay cable via, let's call it a campus. Okay, so with this specific solution, you've got your cameras, and they're about 1.5 kilometers and a kilometer away. Obviously, that is too far to cable via Cat6 or Cat5 cable, because you're going to lose power. Okay, you can only power a camera via, well, about up to 200 meters, depending on what switch you're using and cable that you're using. Okay, so in this scenario, you've got your point-to-multipoint solution. So this is a wireless radio. And what this radio is it sends signals and it receives signals from a CPE, client premises equipment. That is a small CPE radio that is installed with the camera, and it's powered via a switch connected to the camera. So all that footage will be then sent back to the main base station. And from the main base station, it will be sent through a switch to the NVR, and then you can watch your footage live. That is as easy as that. And why is it important? Is because sometimes you don't have a choice. You're going to have to do a point-to-point or a point-to-multipoint, such as this one, this solution. And also, it's going to help you save cost. Instead of having loads of switches in this scenario, you only have 2 small radios, and then that is that. It is quick, it is easy, and it's going to save you a lot of time and labor as well. Okay, so that is the wireless solution. And then, very important, if you have any surveillance projects, please, we have included a brand new project portal on our website, actually on Uniview's brand page on our website. So if you have any projects and stuff, just add your stuff here, your name, your company, your email address, your client code, and I will call you. Either myself or the Uniview manager, sales manager will also call you, give you a call to find out more information in regard to the solution. And at the end, you do stand a chance to get better pricing, which then follows that you can make more margins on that specific pricing, or at least get the project. So this is a very powerful tool to use. If you want to use it, it is free to use. You have big projects, big quantities, submit it here, and we'll see if we can get you nice and good pricing. Okay, so at the end, why choose Uniview? So UniView has a wide variety of high quality products for any application. Really, they have it all. They've got all the different cameras, all the NVRs, the VMS systems, everything that is necessary in order to give you a good solution. And not only the cameras itself, we have a diverse portfolio within the company. So if you need to do wireless transmission with your surveillance, we can give you wireless radios as well. As I mentioned, it gives you the complete video surveillance solution. We have loads of different megapixels. We've got from a 2 megapixel camera, a small cost-effective entry-level 2 megapixel camera, up until a 4K camera. So depending on what your client wants and what your application is, we make sure we quote you. We'll quote you 1,000 times until you are happy with that specific solution. Okay. And then in regards to the lenses, remember the lens is very important when doing a surveillance solution. So we've got cameras with different lenses, a 2.8 millimeter, a 4 millimeter, a 6 millimeter, and so on and so forth, in order to give you a more focused and wider view of angle, which is very important in a surveillance solution. So depending, once again, on your application, we'll recommend one, but you can choose one. Okay. Awesome. And then we've got domes, fisheyes, PTZs, bullets, all sorts of controllers, switches, NVRs, brackets, everything, once again, that you would need. We've got great features such as Starlight, Light Hunter, WDR in order to give you great footage, quality footage at all times. Very important feature to remember, an aspect to remember, is we've got free high-end software. From your entry-level applications up until your VMS applications, the software is free, and it gives, there's no monthly fees, there's no nothing, and that gives you less headaches at the end. Okay, in regards to the warranties, we've got up to 3 years of warranties. Great support, we've got local support, we've got a UniView technician here. So if you are struggling with anything in regards to configurations and all that, please just dial in and just ask for the UniView guy, and then either myself or the technician will try and jump in. We'll definitely jump in and help you with that specific technical problem that you have, and we'll make sure that gets sorted. And then obviously we have the brand support Ultra H265, which once again is a very important thing to use and a powerful tool to use in order for you to save a lot of money in your business. We've got great pricing, and at the end, great pricing means more profit for you. And the nice thing about UniView is the online prices, you're not going to find a lot of online pricing such as other brands in the market. And that at the end makes it much, much easier for you in order to quote, because your end user, your client, will not be able to go and get pricing wherever and whenever. Okay? And that at the end just takes less stress from your shoulders, and you know you're quoting the client and they're not going behind your back and getting online pricing. Awesome. And then also supports all premium smart features. The brand evolves, and new innovative products will always be available. So as you've seen, they just released the Echo Sight, Deep Sight, and Alpha View series with brand new smart features and everything. And that will obviously be a standard going forward. UniView always releases new innovative products, and then it will always be available. At the end, you want an easy system. It is plug and play. You don't want a difficult system. You want to plug it in and make sure it works. It is reliable, and it is good. And at the end, this is a very important feature to remember. UniView support on this. So basically meaning it is friendly to play with other brands as well. So if you've got a client that wants to convert over to UniView and they currently have another brand on site already installed, you can by all means use the UniView NVR and connect those cameras as long as they are on VIB as well, connected to your NVR system, and then you are good to go until they are ready to move completely over to UniView. Okay, and that was that for today. Thank you so much for joining. Just a quick update. We have 2 upcoming webinars, security webinars, which is free and also online. We've got the ZKTECO one, which is access control, time and attendance, and entrance control, which is happening on the 17th of March, 2 to 4. So if you want to watch that one, please just just register and book your seat for that. And then also we've got Ring as well, which is happening the 30th of March, which is only an hour and a half. The Ring National Manager will also join us for that one as well. But anyway, thank you so much for joining, everyone. There's a couple of, we're running out of time, but there's a couple of questions here, and we'll definitely just send you all the answers and everything from our side. And once again, thank you so much. This webinar will be available to watch on our MiRO Academy online platform. As I mentioned, you can just go on our website, go to the training tab, and that will take you directly to our online training platform, which is called MiRO Academy. So if you want to watch something or rewatch a certain slide, please go ahead and just watch it on there as well. Thank you so much. I hope it was an informative presentation. And if you do have any questions, please put it in the question box, or the chat box, and I'll get to your question as soon as possible. Thank you.